Hello and welcome to the third and final in the series of data presentation. For the first, we looked at formatting Google Sheets and Excel, as well as using some functions like addition, division, and multiplication. Then for the second, we looked at the pivot table, how to create one and how to insert one in Google Slides. Then for this last installment, we are going to be looking at graphs or charts, and we are going to look at creating, inserting, and interpreting the graphs. So with a couple of learning objectives for today's class, we are going to describe and illustrate when to create different types of charts. Then we're going to create graphs, and that's going to be bar charts, pie charts, and line charts, and we're going to do this for Google Sheets and also on Excel. And then finally, we are going to interpret the graphs that we have created. So to begin with, we are going to look at which graph do you create and when do you create it. So which graph to use? So graphs in general are, graphs and charts are visual impressions of summarized data. There's so much information that can be in a data set, as you have seen in previous data sets that we have used for this series. And there's so much information that is in there, and we can use charts and graphs to summarize it and present it in a way that is easy to understand, and the data that is in it. So they do provide a very swift understanding to the results, very quick and very simple way of understanding what the result of our data is telling us. So when it comes to data presentation, you can do a lot of information. You can put a lot of information in your table, then you can do in graphs. However, the information that you put in the graphs are much more specific and do a much better job when it comes to drawing attention to that very critical information that you want your audience to get. With a table, there's so much information that sometimes you may need to explain things a little bit. Graphs are usually a lot more self-explanatory than tables are, but both do very good work of explaining the results of your data. But you just have to figure out when you want a more precise information, you may want to go using the graph than using tables. So there are a number of options when it comes to graphs and charts, and each has its own advantages or disadvantages, and where they can be best used. So this is a summary of charts we have for this class. We are focusing on line charts, on bar charts, and on pie charts. And so you can see the descriptions that they have on it, and there are illustrations here, and types of data. With the line charts, it kind of focuses on continuous data, but you can use it in various ways. Pie charts, all types of data. But this is the uses. You can just at this point pause and look through the uses, look through the advantages, the disadvantages, and some of the examples where you can use it. But we're going to talk a little bit more on this. This is not where we're going to stop for this. So what can you use a bar chart to do? What a bar chart does a really good job of is it depicts numeric value or numerical values against categorical value, and it does that on two axes, where you have the x-axis and the y-axis. It does it as a plot. So the bar chart can be orientated in two ways. You're either having your bar charts being vertical, or you have it being horizontal. So this is an example of a vertical bar chart, and this is an example of a horizontal bar chart. Then with the pie charts, you also use it to depict numerical values against categorical ones as well. However, what the pie chart really does a really good job of is providing you your information in terms of proportion or percentage in the way that a bar chart does not do so. So if you're trying to present your information as a percentage of something, a pie chart does a really, really good job in that. So you can see the same information that we have in the bar chart, we've kind of represented it in a pie chart, and this is how that information looks compared to a bar chart. So line charts are used to track changes over short or long period of time, and bar chart also does that, but line charts kind of do a better work with that than bar charts do, and it's also always kind of a little bit easy to tell changes over time with a line chart versus a bar chart. So line charts can also be used to compare changes within over a short period of time by more than one group. So this is an example of using a line chart for only one group or one variable. And this is an example of using a line chart to compare two variables in this case. So a line chart can be quite versatile in that sense. A bar chart can also be versatile. You can use a bar chart to compare one variable, or you can use it to compare multiple variables. Pie chart, however, only works with one variable. You cannot use pie charts with multiple variables, so to say. So pie chart versus a bar chart. So some of the times you kind of want to figure out, when do you use a pie chart versus when do you use a bar chart. So some data can be presented either as a bar chart or as a line chart. Some data can be presented either as a bar chart or a line chart. So bar charts is very versatile in the way that pie chart isn't, and to a degree in the way that a line chart isn't. So some data are better presented in a bar chart than it can be presented in a pie chart. So this is an example of a data that I created in Google Sheets. We are comparing hospital wait time, the average hospital wait time by the patient's name. And so this is this representation in a bar chart, and this is its representation in a pie chart. So this data set works much better in a bar chart because you see the names of the patients and you can see the average time that they have spent waiting in order to see their the clinician. However, the pie chart just gives us percentage. That does not give us any information about the time that they have waited. There is not a lot of information that we can get out of this from the pie charts. What does 10% mean? So the full number of charts in minutes when we combine everything is 231 minutes. But what really does 10% of 231 minutes mean? It doesn't really mean anything. So in this case, a pie chart is not a very good use of data presentation, this graphical data presentation. So with things like this, you kind of want to stick with a bar chart. So this is another illustration of a data set. We have it's looking at hospital wait time, but it's also looking at it in terms of what time a patient then see a consultant after they have done all of this wait. We can see that Sandra spends 23 minutes waiting to see Dr. Hollis, and then spends 21 minutes with Dr. Hollis. So we can represent this data in a graph. this graph is looking at consultation time with Dr. Hollis, in which case it is only looking at the time. But there's another way that we can look at this data. We can look at it as a form of how much of Dr. Hollis' time is he spending on each patient that he sees in a day. Let's say Dr. Hollis sees all these patients in a day. How much of his time is being used per patient? And this works very well with a pie chart. The bar chart gives you individual patients' time with Dr. Hollis, which does a really good job with a bar chart. However, what the pie chart does, it gives us a percentage of Dr. Hollis's consultation time per patient. So we have looked at how much time Dr. Hollis is spending in a day in terms of seeing patients, and looking at it in terms of how much of Dr. Hollis's time is being spent on this patient in terms of proportion. So this does a really good job of using a pie chart in terms of calculating the proportion of Dr. Hollis's time that's going into patients, while the bar chart does a really good job in looking at individual patients' time that they are spending with Dr. Hollis. So a third illustration we can do in terms of deciding when to use which chart is, this is another data set. In this data set, we have included insurance status along with, this is an additional variable, insurance status. And now we want to create a bar chart and a pie chart using two variables being patient's name and insurance status. So when we do that in the bar chart says, I don't know what you're talking about, because it's not seeing any data. Meanwhile, the pie chart tells us you are missing something. So pie chart is saying column 2 must be numeric. So this is to say that you are not able to create a bar chart or a pie chart when two of your variables are have categorical value. One of your variable needs to have at least one numerical value for that. So this is an illustration in order to show you how that works. So if you have two variables and they are both categorical values, you will not be able to create a pie chart out of it. You will not be able to create a bar chart out of it. You will not also be able to create a line chart out of it. So now let's look at determining how line chart looks like. So here we have four variables: patient name, average wait time in 2000. And the first, we have three variables that are we are using to show average wait time. We have in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So because this is showing changes over time, we can use a line chart for it. We can also use a bar chart for it. So but we cannot use a pie chart for it. But because as you can see, the pie chart is only seeing one variable, which is the wait time in 2020. All other variables, that is in 2021 and 2022, the pie chart is not seeing them. So this is a way of showing you that the pie chart doesn't do a good job of providing, multiple variables. When it comes to this, it just doesn't do a good job of that. But when you do this with a bar chart, you can see that, whereby the average wait time in 2020 is being illustrated with a blue bar, 2021 a red bar, and 2022 a yellow bar. So we can see for each of the patients, each of the individual patients, we can see what their wait time is, looks like year by year. You can also represent this information, this data sheet, using a line chart. So this is what it's going to look like in a line chart. So we can see in the same vein, blue is for 2020, red is for 2021, while yellow is for 2022. So you can see how it's showing us very quickly the fluctuation of the time as time goes, when we are going from patient to patient, and also when we're going year to year. So it does a really good job of that. So with the second learning objectives, we are looking at creating charts, and we're using data sets, leap year, performance, and this is a number of the variables that we're using for that. And we're also going down and looking at some sub questions, and then we're going to create a pie chart with a sub question 1, a bar chart, line chart with sub question 2, and a bar chart with sub question 3. And their videos have been inserted for that. So, 3 videos have been inserted for those, so you can have a look for that. And then for the third learning objectives, there are also in 2 videos that have been inserted for that, so you can watch those so that's to figure out how to do these activities. So if you have any question, if there's any part of this class that you didn't quite understand, please remember to raise the question, and I would always very happy to receive your questions, and always very happy to help out as much as I can. And do have a lovely day. Bye.